Okay, so in this video, I'm going to go through a script I wrote that basically allows you to put in a YouTube link and it will do some processing of that YouTube link. It will transcribe all the audio using OpenAI's Whisper, and then it will use this technique called chain of density prompting to make a really good, short, super dense, informationally dense kind of 4 or 5 sentence summary of that technique. And this chain of density prompting technique is something that was come up with by a team at Salesforce recently, and it's showing some really cool results. So it's a really powerful prompt to get your head around, and I think it's good to kind of see it in context with some code. This GitHub link and this Colab notebook will be available via my GitHub, which I'm going to link in the description. And yeah, I hope it's helpful. So I'm just going to walk through the code. I've already done all of the dependency installations. And then this script here, this cell here, is just what is required to download the YouTube link. So you run the code, and basically IPy widgets and all this IPython display stuff is what is needed to get this little box here. And we're going to take this GPT function calling video by Henrik Nyberg. And we're going to put it in there. We're going to download the video. And download is completed successfully. And this is going to come up in if you're doing this on Google Colab, which is where I'm running this notebook, it will come up in your content drive in your file section. However, you can go in and have it saved elsewhere. This cell is also so that you can pull files directly from your Google Colab and then just pass the video location in via there. So this doesn't have to be via a YouTube link. You could run this code and put the code in yourself, but so I have just done it via the YouTube link. And it should show up here. Yep, shows up. So I'm going to rename it just function calling, because that's what I've named it here. And basically this cell now goes through and it uses MoviePy to extract the audio from the video. So I'm going to run that, and it will load the video, extract the audio, and save the audio at this path. And then we'll close the MoviePy clips. And you can see this running here. So while we're just waiting for this, I think what is valuable to kind of look at here is the entire pipeline. If you're an experienced coder, then this is nothing new, but the way I thought about writing this little project of, hey, it'd be interesting to use some really good summarization techniques and be able to arbitrarily summarize any YouTube video, you could package this up in a little front end and it would work quite well. And basically it's just about like decomposing tasks into, or decomposing a project into the smallest possible tasks, and then thinking about like, all right, what do I need to do to get the transcription of an audio video, of a piece of video, and then how do I process that? Is there size requirements? It's just breaking this down. And so yeah, I think it's a good way to think about coding. But we've got this now, so we've got this function calling MP3, and now we need to, Whisper only accepts files, so we're going to use OpenAI Whisper here. It's super easy, and it's a really good audio transcription AI tool, and you're going to need an OpenAI key for it, which I have put in already. So you run this to check the size of the file, so it only accepts files up to 25 megabytes. So this is actually going to be fine, but I've got some code here that will compress the file, and if the compressed file is still already too big, then it will chunk that file up. And then you just iterate through and transcribe each chunk, and then you stitch them all together at the end, and that's how you would deal with the file size upload limits on OpenAI. Okay, so once we split the video up and compressed it if need be, we will do the Whisper transcription. So I've already put my API key here in, and basically this just will loop through all of the files we've got, whether it's a single file like we have, or because the file size was more than 25 megabytes, it might be some chunks. And it will ask you for your API key, which you can get from the OpenAI developer portal, which is over here. And you will then put your API key in, and this will run through all of the files and transcribe each one. And then if we print out these transcripts, we can see what they look like. So it's just a single transcript here, but Whisper does a really good job of taking even fuzzy audio and kind of transcribing it almost like, I would say like 95% correct. This block of code is for if we have multiple transcripts that we want to stitch together. So if again it was bigger than 25 megabytes, then we might have multiple files in this transcripts dictionary. And this is just going to stitch those all together and give us a master transcript. And if we print the master transcript, it'll look like this. It's just a plain string stored in a text file in our content in our drive. Now, here is where we implement the chain of density prompt. And this is a really interesting prompt. Again, no credit taken by me for this. This was developed by Salesforce. And I got a lot of the code for this specific prompt from this blog article, which I will link in the description as well. But it's a really interesting prompt. And basically what it does is it asks the LLM to summarize a block of text and then summarize it kind of vaguely with a number of missing entities, and then it will go through and summarize again, and it will like inject more specific names or places, these missing entities that it's going to inject. And it does that 5 times, and what you do is you end up with a really informationally dense prompt, and it's a lot better than if you just ask GPT regularly to summarize it. So I'll read the prompt out. I've edited a little bit to add this context thing in, but that's only my edit. That's the only edit I've made. Everything else is directly from the Salesforce paper. So context, you would go in and edit this based on the context, but the following speech is a YouTube lecture on OpenAI function calling. Speech, and then we have a variable for the article. You will generate increasingly concise, entity-dense summaries of the speech snippet. You will use any context provided to make sense of and orient the summary of the speech with what has come before. Repeat the following 2 steps 5 times. Step 1. Identify 1 to 3 informative entities from the article, which are missing from the previously generated summary and are the most relevant. Step 2. Write a new, denser summary of identical length, which covers every entity and detail from the previous summary plus the missing entities. A missing entity is relevant to the main story, specific, descriptive yet concise, 5 words or fewer, novel, non the previous summary, faithful, present in the article, anywhere, located anywhere in the article. Guidelines: use the context provided to make sense of the article and ensure that there is consistency between the information provided in the context and the information provided in the article. Do not repeat points made in the speech if they are already provided in the context. Only add new pieces of information. Make sure nothing mentioned in the context is repeated. I added both of these lines. The first summary should be long, 4 to 5 sentences, approximately 80 words, yet highly non-specific, containing little information beyond the entities marked as missing. Use overly verbose language and fillers to reach approximately 80 words. Make every word count. Rewrite the previous summary to improve flow and make space for additional entities. Make space for fusion, compression, and removal of uninformative phrases like the article discusses. The summaries should become highly dense and concise, yet self-contained, easily understood without the article. Missing entities can appear anywhere in the new summary. Never drop entities from the previous summary. If space cannot be made, add fewer new entities. Remember to use the exact same number of words for each summary, answer in JSON. The JSON in summaries per step should be a length 5 dictionaries whose keys are missing entities and denser summaries. And so we've just got then within this class method decorator, on top of this below this class method decorator, we've got this summarize function, which takes the article in and it calls the OpenAI assistant and basically gets it to process that article with the article, whatever article you fed in as the variable. Anything else here that's important to talk about? These are just our imports of what is needed. And we create this denser summary and denser summary collection class. This is just kind of type checking stuff. And then this is the actual class that we're creating when we call. And yeah, so a few comments on this prompt. This chain of density prompt has been going around on Twitter, and people are really enjoying it. And it kind of is really interesting to take a step back and comment on. This is like cutting edge research that we just read. It's not crazy machine learning math, but this is like stuff that is on the cutting edge of LLM research. So I think it's really encouraging that anyone who's interested in LLMs can go ahead and read these papers and, like I did, start playing around with them and start playing and potentially even contributing if you find a better way of doing things. Something that would be really interesting to contribute here is that this prompt works really well when the article you're using can fit in the entire context window, sorry. If you're using like GPT-4 32K, that's about 24,000 words. You probably only have about maybe 15,000 words to play with of that 24,000 words to pass in your article. So that's a fairly large piece of text, but what if we want to summarize a whole book and we want to do it in 10 pages rather than 4 to 5 sentences? Then we're going outside of the context window. And something interesting to do here, if you're looking at kind of contributing to LLMs and the work that's being done on prompt engineering, is figuring out, all right, like, how would I change this code around? How would I change this prompt so that I can kind of iteratively work on chunks, 15,000 word chunks, and have something coherent at the end of it that then gets summarized in total? And that's something I played around with and didn't get great results, to be honest. But the great thing about how quickly this field is moving is that you can contribute regardless of your background or degree. So we run this code here: summary, density, summary, collection, summarize, master transcript, and this is going to go through and make 5 GPT-4 calls under the hood, and in 1 second we will see that pop up. Okay, so it's printed out, the GPT-4 call has been made, and we've got this summary, which I'll just put here in Writebox so we can see it better. In a YouTube lecture, the speaker elucidates GPT function calling, demonstrating how to use the API to enhance GPT's capabilities. He shows how to define functions like getWeather, which GPT can utilize to generate responses. He emphasizes the sandbox's role in GPT, preventing it from accessing the internet or a user's file system. He also explains how to instruct GPT to provide short answers and how to handle multiple function calls. He further demonstrates how to use a loop to keep calling the getWeather function until GPT is done, how to get structured responses from GPT, and how to force GPT to call a specific function. So I would say a really solid summary of this. How long is this video? Anyway, 15-minute video. So really solid summary of this 15-minute video. And if you wanted a longer summary, you could easily go in and change it. So instead of 4 to 5 sentences, maybe 10, 15 sentences, 20, like arbitrary length. And you can play around with this prompt to kind of get more juice out of it or tailor it and tweak it to your specific use case. But this is a really effective way of densely summarizing a long piece of text, and you're going to get a much better summary than if you just blanket went to ChatGPT and said summarize this text. I know that this has been a really high level overview of this script I wrote, but yeah, this works for any YouTube videos or anything that you've got, any video that you've got in your Google Drive. So feel free to access the collab and have a play around with it. It's kind of hacked together, but it does the job. And yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions about this script or anything else AI related. And yeah, always open to DMs and helping with scripts and whatever you guys need. So yeah, hope you enjoyed.